Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you today on this incredibly uncomfortable Saturday. It is just like all of a sudden we have summer here in Toronto when it actually shouldn't be summer anymore. Oh well, anyways, we're talking about this battleship today, the Tier 8 Premium Japanese battleship, the Key. And, well, what can I say? She's kind of like an Amagi, but in some ways not very similar at all. And the first major difference between this ship and the Amagi lies in the armor. In my opinion, the Amagi has significantly better armor protection. Even though, if you actually look at just the main armor belt, the Key has a thicker main armor belt. So if you compare it to the Amagi here, and you look at the main armor belt, the Amagi's is only 254 millimeters thick, compared to the Key's, which is 292. However, there are more factors when it comes to protection than simply the thickness of the main armor belt. The major difference lies sort of underneath, right? Let's take a look at a few things first of all. You'll notice that the Key does have a turtle back. However, the turtle back is not very good. If you look here, the Citadel has this angled piece that basically serves as that turtle back, but it's very, very thin, only 38 millimeters thick. If you compare that to the Amagi, and you look at the Amagi's Citadel, mind you, both of them are underwater. The Amagi is protected by 102 95 millimeter thick pieces. This makes it very, very difficult to Citadel the Amagi, while with the Key, well, if you have a shell that comes in from a distance that penetrates the belt, it will probably penetrate this very, very thin piece of angled sort of turtleback Citadel armor. So with the Key, you will take Citadel hits. The other weakness in protection lies with the torpedo protection. The Key's torpedo protection is very, very weak, as there is only a 27% reduction to torpedo damage, while if you compare it to the Amagi without the damage control modification already has 43%. The Key, even with this damage control system mod 1, is only at a maximum of 27%. The other sort of difference in protection actually has to do with the torpedo bulge armor. If you look at the Key, you'll notice that the torpedo bulge is completely underwater. There's nothing that comes out above it, and it's underwater, so it doesn't really factor into shell hits. But if you look at the Amagi, you will notice something about the Amagi's torpedo protection. It comes out above the water, and it covers a whole chunk of the main armor belt, and it covers this upper portion as well. Just below the casement guns, it covers this upper piece that's 32 millimeters thick. Now, this torpedo bulge that covers this piece of 32 millimeter armor basically protects that piece of armor from being penned by HE. So when HE hits, and it hits this bulge area, even if it penetrates this bulge, it won't do any damage, because spaced armor in the game is basically a null damage zone for HE. If you compare that to the Key, you'll notice that the Key's upper 32 millimeter plate is quite a bit bigger, and it's not protected by that extra piece of bulge armor. And therefore, when you take HE, even from heavy cruisers, they will pen you here and do damage. While with the Amagi, that particular spot is quite a bit smaller. So while the Key does have a touch bit more HP compared to the Amagi, I don't really think it's significant, as the Amagi is just going to take less damage overall from a lot of different sources. The Key is going to take more from things like HE, and that tiny edge in HP just isn't going to make a big difference. Moving on to the main guns, and, well, what can I say? They are identical guns to the Amagi. You have the same number of them, right? 10 of them in total. Same 410 millimeter guns, same shells, they have the same muzzle velocity, so all that stuff is identical. Dispersion's identical. However, the Key has 1.7 sigma versus the Amagi's 1.8, which means that the Key is going to be a little bit less reliable in terms of getting shells to where you want them. So you're going to see some slightly more erratic salvos when you're playing the Key. In terms of main battery firing range, 19.4 kilometers is Not as high as a ship like, let's say, the North Carolina, but it is sufficient, I think, for a battleship. You can pack a scout plane for a little bit more range, but really you're not going to be hitting all that much out at like 20-something kilometers, right? Generally, engagements are going to be a little bit closer. You do have secondary guns. They do fire HE. They can light some fires, but again, not really the strong point of this particular battleship. The main battery guns do have on the key slightly better forward arcs than the Amagi. It's like a 2-degree improvement. It's a little bit of a thing. The Amagi, you're going to have to show a little bit more side, therefore reducing your auto bounce percentage. The key, a little bit less, so you have a bit more auto bounce in your favor, right? So it's really small things, but it is still something for you to consider. Where the key differs in a major way from the Amagi is two things. One, torpedo armament. Yep, there's another Japanese battleship now with torpedoes. She's got a triple launcher on each side. 6-kilometer torps, they go 63 knots. They don't do a ton of damage, having a max damage of only 14,600. They reload reasonably quickly, and you are able to use these at close range, although the torpedo arcs are nothing like, say, a Scharnhorst, for example. The arcs are just not that great, and you really have to time their proper usage correctly, shall we say. Although that's not super easy, considering the ship isn't the most maneuverable thing, which I will cover in a little bit. Still, you can use them from time to time. The AA guns on the key is the major selling difference, I think, the selling point between this ship and the Amagi. The Amagi's AA is kind of pathetic, but the key's AA is actually pretty darn strong, right? It's 100mm dual-purpose guns. They offer 6-kilometer range if you have AFT. Without the range module, by the way, if you throw on the range module, you can get a bit more. And they do 166 average damage per second. That's good damage. That combined with the medium-sized AA guns, and you do have some pretty decent AA firepower on the key. If you, again, this is a choice, you can switch out this Aiming Systems Mod 1 for AA Guns Mod 2, just for added range. But yeah, it really depends on the situation that you find yourself in. If you're seeing more CVs that day, so then go for the AA module. If you're not seeing a lot of CVs, then go for extra accuracy, because that extra accuracy is going to help. But again, AA is a lot more situational, right? So you really have to consider, do I want more AA at the cost of armor protection and also guns that are a little bit more iffy? If that seems like a worthwhile sacrifice to you for that increased AA, then by all means go for it. But for me, this isn't really one of those things that sells me on the ship. The way I see it, the key is more of a side grade from the Amagi rather than an upgrade or a downgrade. She's just similar in some ways and different in some ways. Finally, let's cover maneuverability and concealment. Maneuverability, ship is pretty fast, 29.5 knots. Turning circle radius, obviously for such a long ship, it's going to take a while to make a full circle. 880 meters, very, very comparable to the Amagi. Slightly better rudder shift time. In terms of concealment, this is not a very stealthy battleship at all. And here you've really got to make a choice. And it's a choice that it really has to do with how you like to play, right? If you want to go and maximize your stealth so you don't take too many shots in from, HE spamming cruisers, then I would say go for that option, right? Just go max stealth, try to get your detectability as low as possible. If you're like, I don't really care as much because maybe you've spec'd maybe fire prevention on your captain, then you could probably grab something like this target acquisition system modification 1, because you might want to spot those torpedoes a little bit earlier, as this thing's torpedo protection really isn't all that great. But all in all, concealment is not the key's major strength, so how you want to deal with that is really up to you. Alright, so then let's take a look at the upgrade modules here. I would say on the first slot you can either get Main Armaments Mod 1 or you can get Auxiliary Armaments Mod 1. This one again is up to you. If you're going more AA focused, I would say Auxiliary Armaments probably is going to help. If you're not going AA focused, Main Armaments probably better. Second slot, again, choice. You can go either AA Guns Mod 2, get extra range on those AA guns, or you can go Aiming Systems Mod 2 for better accuracy on those main guns, which might be able to offset that 1.7 Sigma a little bit. In terms of the third slot, Damage Control System Mod 1 without question, as you want that bonus to your torpedo protection, and also you want to reduce your risk of being set on fire. On the fourth slot, Damage Control System Mod 2 or Steering Gears Mod 2. This one again is up to you. And finally, on the final slot, again depending on which one you prefer, both of these modules are viable. In terms of captain skills, again, quite standard for a battleship. I would say on the first row you can either opt for priority target or you can opt for preventative maintenance. Personally, I think for me, I've always found use for priority target, so that's what I'm going to go with. On the second row, when you first start, I would say get Adrenaline Rush, because you do want to get the reload of your guns down faster as you lose HP. On your third row, you can either opt for basic firing training or you can opt for something like Superintendent. You could theoretically also opt for Vigilance, as again, you want extra spotting for torpedoes to give you that early warning. I would say to buff up your ship in its super strong point to make it ever better, I would personally say go for basic firing training. Again, this is the first pass through the skill tree, right? Once you get to the last row, you have a couple of choices. You can go AFT to again make your AA that much better. You can go with Concealment Expert to make your ship that much more stealthy. And I think those two would be your two first priority skills. Once you've passed these two skills with the remaining 4 points, you could opt for fire prevention, right? You could also give up Concealment Expert and just go AFT and fire prevention. That could be an alternative as well. And then with the remaining skill points, you could opt for things like, again, Expert Marksman. You could opt for things like Superintendent, Vigilance. You know, these are all choices that you as the player will have to make, tailoring it to your own personal playstyle. So that's it from the port view. Let's take a look at the ship in battle. So here we go, on the EU server playing Atlantic, and this is a tier 10 battle. Now, this wasn't actually going to be the initial battle that I was going to show you. I had a different battle, did 170 something thousand damage. It was a tier 8 battle, and in that battle, I thought I'd showed off most of the characteristics of the ship. The armor protection, the guns, the torpedoes, you know, I sort of done a little bit of everything in that battle. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty happy with that. And that was yesterday, and I had played a whole bunch of battles, so I was like, alright, this one I'm going to use tomorrow when I record the video. So today, I finished recording the port part and everything, and I'm ready to go for the battle, and hang on a minute, where's the replay folder? So, in my haste to have the whole EU thing set up properly, my EU client, I forgot to enable replay, so everything from yesterday was a loss. Wah, wah, wah. So unfortunately I had to go back in and play another battle, which actually happened to be this one. It was a tier 10 battle, and I thought, what the heck not, you know, it's a good battle, let's go for it. Now, a little bit earlier, you probably saw me shooting at long range at a Montana, and even though I mentioned earlier from the port view that the Keys range is not that great, if you use a scout plane, you are able to take some of those long range pot shots. However, I'm not really gonna depend much on these long range pot shots. They're not going to be all that effective, right? Most of the major sort of battleship engagements in World of Warships generally a little bit closer, and that's where you start to see really some of the big damage rolls. Long range, yeah, you're going to be able to shave off a few thousand HP here and there. Maybe you get lucky, hit a citadel or two, but in most cases, long range pot shots don't really do all that much. Took a couple of pot shots against the enemy Moskva over there, but the Moskva is sitting still, stationary, and it's quite a distance away, not really contributing much to the battle. So instead of targeting him, I switch my attention and target this Atago over here. Enemy Atago slowed down a little bit more than I thought he would. I guess he slowed down purely to shoot that one salvo, because then he starts to speed up again. Anyways, there is one citadel. Again, the Keys guns, they are going to perform, right? I mean, its dispersion is a little bit more erratic, more so if you actually use the AA module. If you use the accuracy, it does get a little bit better, but again, you are going to see a little bit more sort of erraticness to the salvos compared to the Amagi. Again, 1.7 sigma to 1.8 sigma. 1.7 has about 2 extra % of shells going to the extreme outer edge of the dispersion circle, right? So it's a little bit worse. Anyways, Trying to see if I can tag any of the ships that are hiding behind the islands there. Not really seeing anything. Kind of holding between where the Otago would be and where the Hindenburg would be. You know, either one that pops up, I will take a shot at. But then again, as soon as I get behind the island, that's when they show up. So, oh well, get my ship fully turned around. Plus, if I'm looking at the southern flank, I'm seeing the team sort of fall apart there. So, might have to go down there and help them out, right? I mean, for now, it still looks okay because we do have a Kurfürst who's kind of still maybe facing that direction. We have a Yamato, a Zal there. There's a destroyer there. You know, there's a Montana sort of around where I am. So, I mean, with the number of ships that we have here, plus with our advantage numerically over at the sea cap, we should be able to turn around and just go deal with the southern flank, right? But, you know, it's random battles. So people really sort of do whatever they want. And you'll see a little bit of a fail going on at sea where it's like, we have all these ships, how come we still don't have this cap, right? Anyways, take a shot at this Hindenburg. At first I decided to shoot the Hindenburg because I thought the Benson would move or go away or fall off of the deck, but nope, the Benson just hangs out there. I'm guessing maybe he's being lit up by the Hindi's hydro or something, because the Benson doesn't move. And so when I see that the Benson's not moving and he's in the profile that he's at towards me, which is, you know, sort of bow on, which means if I can hit him, that's going to be nice penetration. So of course I will take a shot at him. And as you can tell, there's the salvo. It's not too bad dispersion wise. A couple of shells are going to land and blop. 8,200 damage. That's a bunch of penetrations, right? Because the AP shell basically hits the front and basically travels the length of the ship, which will turn into a penetration. That's a huge amount of damage. This is why Battleship AP works against destroyers, right? Even if you get into a situation where a destroyer is broadside on, you can still shave off a few thousand HP with just overpens alone, right? Never mind penetrations. But when they're giving you that bow on profile, go for the AP salvo, because you are going to be able to nail them for penetration damage. Otago comes out. I only have my forward guns reloaded for him, so take a pot shot there as well. See what I can land. Let's see here, and oh, there's another magic citadel. Don't you just love it, right? Sometimes crappy dispersion might not be all that awful because you do get RNG like that. It works. Yeah. Oh, who's complaining, right? You get a free citadel, nobody's gonna complain. Anyways, the ships that were initially holding the southern mid flank, I don't know where they're going, actually, to be honest. I think they're just deciding to go towards sea, which, you know, amazingly, we still haven't capped. Yeah, that's one of those moments where you're just going, what happened? We had all those ships. How do we still not have it capped? I think finally right around here. Yeah, there we go. We finally cap it. But I think we're also going to lose the B cap in the middle as well. Alright, so with all the ships over at sea, if they should be looking at the southern push that's coming up, they should come and help out, right? At least that's what I'm doing. I'm going over to engage 2 Montanas with a key. And again, see, I did mention earlier that the armor isn't that good, right? So if you go full broadside and they have a salvo ready for you, it's going to hurt. However, if you angle the key, you are still relatively well protected. Like, yeah, her armor profile isn't as good as the Amagi's, but if you angle well, you're still going to be able to bounce shells, still going to be able to reduce the damage you take, although you do have to be careful with how you angle. Alright, so these 2 Montanas, if they play properly, they're going to make my life very, very difficult. But luckily for me, I do have 2 destroyers helping me. And with 2 destroyers, the advantage is I'm going to be able to have these Montanas get forced into positions that they might not want to be in, right? So that means potentially they're going to show me more broadsides, which means that if I see a broadside, I will try to hit them for maximum damage possible. More damage I hit them for, the easier my job becomes, because the destroyers can do work. Just right there, I gave that Montana a little bit too much side, so he was able to hit me for a nice chunk of damage there. So that hurt, but he's also offering me a decent amount to shoot at as well, although that salvo unfortunately landed a little bit high, so not that much damage. Fletcher, Shimakaze, these 2 teaming up together, they're going to do some work, at least in terms of forcing the battleships into positions, like I mentioned earlier, that they don't want to be in, because hey, if I'm there, I can still hit them really, really hard. As you can tell, for now, I'm still continuing to fall backwards. I'm still staying angled, firing shells, staying in a position where I'm going to minimize my damage, and I'm continuing to fall back. And I'm trying to fall back because I want to draw these battleships in for my destroyers. And of course, when they go ahead and give me broadsides like that, I can still hit them for a nice, healthy amount of damage, as that Montana found out very, very quickly. Alright, now as you can tell, the Montanas have split up a little bit. This is going to make things a little bit more complicated for me, as angling is going to be a little bit more challenging. I'm looking around trying to see at what point I shall turn around and return into that aggressive stance. So going from this current passive defensive stance to an aggressive attacking stance again. And it's going to happen sort of right around here. While this other Montana here is busy with the Hindenburg on my team, and the other Montana just being further away, I decide right now it's a good time to start turning and re-engaging these two ships. This Montana, unfortunately, is not going to have a good day, right? He's pretty much by himself now. His other Montana has decided to just leave him. So he's by himself, and he's engaging stuff that he either can't see, and of course torpedoes that are just coming in to ruin his day. As you can tell, that one remaining Montana, because his buddy seems to have left him, is not having the world's best time right now. He's got that Hindenburg who's in smoke, who's just not making his day all that great. I've got myself turned around now, so I'm going to first help out with this closer Montana. If this Montana gives me a shot, I'll take it, I'll try to get him sunk. And then, worst comes to worst, I can bum rush the other Montana. Stay angled, his 406mm guns have no chance of overmatching my 32mm of bow armor. My side armor, if I keep it angled, is going to be effective at bouncing just about everything. And when I get close enough, the combination of my guns and my torps, I should be able to take care of him. So that is the plan. I'm also aware right about now that there is a Hindenburg at around G4, and the Hindenburg, if he starts to open up on me, can put some hurt on me, right? The Hindenburg's current HE penetration, combined with its very good AP if I decide to give him broadside, can put a hurt on me. But I don't know what happened. He just didn't really ever pay much attention to me. His attention was somewhere else, so I basically had a one-on-one engagement with this Montana, which made life quite a bit easier because I didn't have to worry about the Hindenburg putting additional fires and damage onto me. Alright, and this Montana, of course, also did me a favor because, see, right here, he's in a good position. He's in that angled position where I'm not going to get all that great damage into him. So that's where what he should sort of stick with, right? Maybe gets me into a vulnerable position, goes for the Citadel hit or whatnot. Instead, he angled and then stopped angling, and he went ahead and gave me a full broadside to shoot out, to which I was like, well, thank you very much, I appreciate that. I mean, I'll stay relatively angled, but, you know, I'll happily put 20,000 plus damage into you. Just makes my life that much easier. Hindenburg is starting to push up, where, again, I'm looking at the map, I'm like, well, the Shima's not going to directly engage him, and so if that Hindenburg rushes me down and utilizes his torpedoes, I'm going to have a bad day here. Still can't get myself turned around to engage him because I've still got to deal with his Montana, but hey, the Montana's just continue to do me favors, right? Still doing favors, so another salvo in, and this one's going to hurt. There's another Citadel, bam, Montana's dead. And then I turn around and, hey look, the Hindenburg got killed. Perfect. Alright. So 170,000 damage, again, sort of the same amount of damage I had at the Tier 8 battle, so all good, right? A little bit more to do. We're still behind on points, still behind on caps. Our Shima ran into their gearing on the B cap with no support. Again, that gearing should win this fight against the Shima. Just guns away and the Shima should die. I mean, both of them have relatively low HP, so I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. But I'm going to have to go turn over and head over to the B cap and try to take that back. But the gearing ran into Shima torpedoes. Okay, so all's good. All's good. We're still good. Enemy team has 2 remaining ships left. There's this Bismarck, and there is 1 enemy destroyer, which obviously, judging by the fact that we're losing our sea cap, means that enemy destroyer is over at sea. We have a Montana around there, but the Montana is not all that healthy, and our Shima is not all that healthy. The combination of the Shima plus the Montana together, they should have probably turned around and headed to sea right now to take care of that destroyer. I mean, I am going to head towards A, because that's easy. My current HP status, the weapons I have against the Bismarck, guaranteed kill. There's no way I'm losing that fight. So I'm like, yep, I will go towards A. You know, if the Shima and the Montana get together and go help out with C, that would be fantastic. But then again, I am also playing random battles, so, you know, nobody really listens to me at all. I guess that might be because I'm just using another account as well, and not just with my normal name. I don't know, who knows. But anyways, the Shima ends up coming with me to A, which, not the most useful thing, but cool. I mean, I enjoy the company, right? Why not? Montana, as you can tell, really low HP, and against a German destroyer, if he decides to go one-on-one, that destroyer should have all the advantages. This is why initially I wanted the Shima to go up. I think I actually say it in chat right now. See, I said I'm going to go to A. Bismarck is making my life really easy. Again, sailing relatively broadside, making shots relatively easy to land. Okay, hold on. I'm pretty sure I'm going to tell the Shima to go and help out. Alright, but anyways, continuing to get farm damage off of that Bismarck. Trying to just whittle his HP down. Just because if I can whittle the Bismarck's HP down, when push comes to shove in a close range engagement, he's got even less to work with right now. Bismarck is already down to like, what is this, 13,000? Yeah, I think he's healing right now. So there we go, about 15,000 HP. Another salvo out. Absolutely no way for that Bismarck to really win this contest. I mean, the only thing that if you were up against an Amagi, and here, this is why I'm saying the key does have certain advantages at certain times. Against an Amagi, as a Bismarck, you could, in theory, just decide to go bow in, just point it in, try to bounce as many shots as possible, and off for the ram, right? You could go for that. But with the key, you have those torpedoes, so you can deny them that ram with those torpedoes. It's going to be harder for them to try that, right? But that, if I was the Bismarck player right now, I still would have tried that, because I know if I was facing a key that there was no real way to win this fight. You know, with the way the key is set up, the HP that I have and everything, there's just no way. So if I was the Bismarck player right now, I would try to force a ramp as quickly as possible, in as good of a way as possible. Does the Bismarck go for that? No, he doesn't. He decides to first fire his main guns at me, to no effect. And then he's going to offer full broadside to me, which was fantastic. See, again, the Shima is coming down with me. Not really not really something I needed him to do, but you know, he leaves the Montana alone. Had he gone with the Montana, I think the two of them together should have been able to take care of the enemy destroyer. Bismarck went full broadside, so I annihilate him from the face of the planet. And onto the A cap I go. And once I've got A cap taken care of, all things should be good. Now, our Montana went all the way down to B. Could have just, I think, kept B, but instead turns around and is heading back towards C again. Now, if you look at the layout of C, that's not really that good of a thing to do, considering there's a lot of destroyer hidey spots, and there's a lot of places where you can eat torpedoes from, and that Montana really can't take 2 torpedoes. If the Montana takes 2 torpedoes, it should be game over for our team, and I'm at such a nice damage amount too. I'm at like 200,000+, so I kind of want to win this. So on the inside, I'm like, well, I'm hoping this Montana doesn't just get torped, but hey, it wasn't like they were listening to me at all anyways, so not really much point, I guess, you know, typing in chat telling them to do something. So I'm just hoping the Montana doesn't get torped. I'm hoping that there's enough time for me to get this cap, and maybe 2 caps to 1 with like a minute 30 left, perhaps. No, I don't think we'll catch him. No, I actually don't think we have enough time. So yeah, I mean, I'm thinking around this point that this is probably going to be a loss, because, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second here. Why is that destroyer at like point blank range to a okay, well, you figure how this is going to end, right? Blop, there's the blop. And that's it. We managed to clutch victory out of the jaws of defeat. Haha, see, that actually worked that way this time. There we go, 758,000 credits earned, 15,501 experience. That's a huge amount of experience. 200,000 plus damage, 2,583 base. In terms of damage, 205,000 all armor piercing. Good number of citadel hits as well. Tanked a decent amount of damage as well. And there we go, net credit gain, 655,229. Anyways, so that is the battle, and, you know, I overall have pretty good combat results with the key. Although, again, you know, would she replace the Amagi for me? I don't think so. Again, I said earlier, it's a bit of a side grade. So for those of you out there who are looking for maybe a tier 8 premium Japanese battleship trainer, then the key I think is okay to purchase, and she will do okay. However, if you're thinking like, oh, I want something that's outright better than the Amagi, then I don't think the key is going to fit the build there. Anyways, folks, that's it for this review video. If you have any questions about the key, let me know in the comment section below. Aside from all that, take care, have yourselves a good one, and I will talk to all of you again next time.